Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Astropub, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender at the Astropub. Welcome to Office Hours. Let's get to the brand new office, courtesy of Darganator. Haven't quite done the transitions yet. Oh, hey, look, there's my hand over here. Let me fix that. I haven't quite done the that's why. The transitions yet, but everything else should be working. In fact, I should probably move some stuff around so I'm not as big. Too big, Darsh. Taking up too much of the space. There we go. All right, yeah, I gotta do this. Haha. There we go. Actually, no, it should probably be, the shadow should probably be, oop, nope, not that way. I should probably lock that. Oh, God. I'm already messing with things and I don't know what I'm doing. Live editing, everybody. Ooh, that's me. There we go. 5 days until New World. I know. I know. I am very hype. There we go. Fix it a little bit. Welcome, everybody. Yes, so for those of you who don't know, who haven't been keeping up, who have normal, healthy human lives and aren't obsessed about silly things, who you may not know if you're a normal, healthy human life, is that the MSR, the Argo Cargo, no, I'm saying MSR, the MPUV, the Argo Cargo beat the MSR in the final ship showdown by like 50 votes. Rampant cheating was going on both sides, but apparently CIG saw through it and was just like, at the end, they were like, yeah, no matter what we do, the Argo Cargo is going to pull this out. So they won. I gotta remember that I have too much fucking power in this community sometimes. I mean, it wasn't just me. Like Red Lair's been on this train for 2 years. So if anyone deserves the blame, I mean credit, it's Red Lair. Send your hate mail to him, not me, I swear. Under the bus. Under the bus like Gary. Yeah, no, I didn't expect this to happen. So, even more. Yeah, I mean, what happened was, for those of you who don't know, Red Lair started this last year and didn't go very far. And so then in June of this year, I decided I was going to try to make it my pet cause. And someone said, hey, Red Lair tried to do this last year. And I said, oh, okay, cool. Well, now Red Lair has an ally. And so I started promoting it, and then Red Lair started to promote it as well, and then other content creators started to jump on because I started promoting it within the content creator community. And of course, as is wont to happen, many individuals in the Star Sister community felt that it was a blasphemy that the content creators, the influencers, influence anything. So... It was fun. I'm sorry if people got hurt about that kind of thing, but it was fun. Considering my light's coming from, yeah, it should probably be on the other side. Like that. Probably not as extreme. Stop that. I locked you. How did you move? There we go. That's fine. All right, we'll say hello to everybody. So for anyone who doesn't know, this is where we talk about It's office hours is an AMA, so where people come out and kind of ask questions. I kind of talk a little bit about lore, maybe a little bit about the information. Y'all can ask questions. We have a little bit of a community discussion for a couple of hours, and we just hang out. So, hopefully you like the new logo. Like it. I'm gonna have a T-shirt with it eventually, so it'd be cool. Oh yes, we did it. Beltalowda. Ships. So the community is going to jump on board next year and make it the final four all Crusader ships. So crew has to start on the Genesis. I don't know, man. Maybe. Thank you, Billy. Welcome, my man. All hail the cargo. I, for one, welcome our new king and God Emperor of us all. Our orangey god, the king above the orange, Mr. Argo Cargo. If the T comes in purple, unlike Syndicate T-shirts, I definitely get one. Now, there we go. Hey, DJ Penguin, how you doing, buddy? Orange boy. The orange boy. I think I ask you every single time, Penguin, that like I'm always surprised your partner. That I'm like, no, that makes sense. Influencer. I mean, that's what we do, DJ. Like, that's what we are. We're influencers. We influence people. I hate the word because it's become such a like synonymous with like pyramid scheme, and it's like that's not really what influencers are, but you know. You have a partner mark by your name. Shillfluencer. I like that. Shillfluencer. Lobbyist is closer. Man, I don't get paid enough money to be a lobbyist. If I'm getting title lobbyist, I better be making them Koch brothers money. Hey, how's it going there, Xperia? Trained man monkey. Oh, an Argo Cargo, the Argo Cargo backpack into a fanny pack. I would unironically wear that shit. Holy shit, that would be amazing. I really hope it's not just lazy. I hope it's not just a backpack that they slap Argo onto it, because that'd be really lazy. Because it means they would have done the same thing for like this Crusader, and it's like, The backpack will only hold an Argo Cargo model. Scuba Steven, thank you so much for that follow. Yeah, that's what they did last year, I know. But they said they were going to make a exclusive backpack with like in the style of the manufacturer. So, and we're all getting like, oh Jesus. That's a lot of subs. Thank you, SFX Shingo. I don't know what my music's not. Oh, I know. Thank you so much, my man. Get some subs, some stuff out there. Everyone needs a fanny pack for the chapstick. Yes. Hey, Egbert of Lamp, how you doing, buddy? Win is win. I go a small way to the Star Citizen historic event. Yeah, it's fun. I'm glad that it won overall, because this is the last year I think something like this is going to happen, because we've got a very big year ahead of Star Citizen. I mean, we've got just this next patch alone. You've got the garbage fire that is the Redeemer that everyone loves. I don't know why y'all like garbage so much. It's like, it's so common everywhere. Why would you want to like rub it, like live inside a garbage can? That doesn't make any sense. But you also have the A2 and the Ares, and then you've got the whole C and whole A coming out soon. Like there's a ton of different ships that are coming out. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like the Banu Merchantman by the end of the year, or a Perseus, or a Polaris, or something like that as well. So the Vulture's coming out. Yeah, the Vulture's coming out. So like, I think this is the last year a ship like the Argo Cargo will ever be able to win. And I hope that CIG in the future makes better brackets that focuses more on weight classes, and then have the weight classes duke it out at the end for best in show. So you have best in weight class and then best in show. So the top four are the best weight classes. We had an interesting this last ISC was very interesting. It has a ton of ship updates, which is fantastic, and then some interesting gadget stuff. And I don't know if Jake's in chat. If you are, all right, I'm just gonna say this: any CIG employees, and feel free to clip this. Please do feel free to clip this. Thank you for that. Them biddies. And thank you for gifting that sub to Egbert of Lamp there, Drones. Thank you. Apologize to the Redeemer now. No! Fuck the Redeemer. I hate it. I'm Anakin. And at the end of Attack of the Clones, I killed them all. I hate them. Thank you, Shingo. That means a lot to me that you all that stuff to me, man. That means a lot. Thank you. Oops, all sprint report. Yeah. I'm going to just say this. If there's anybody who's watching this, and feel free to clip this and send this to CIG staff, please, for the love of God, record with a phone or some other device the motion capture of the pooping animation that needs to be recorded. I mean, obviously ask for permission from the person who's doing the motion capture, but that has to be recorded just for the sheer hilarity that you got someone to mocap pooping. Okay, that was a joke, CIG. When Darj and Vertigo and I said that on Captain's Table like 3 months ago, that was a joke. We didn't mean for you to actually do that. I could totally mocap for it. Please do. That needs to be recorded for posterity. Just because, like, A, it's funny, but B, it's also like a testament to just how ridiculous this game is when it comes to immersion. They mocap pooping animations. I mean, if you got Anna to do the mocap for pooping animations, I know Anna would think that's funny. She's old school theater. That would be funny. Well, Robert, there's no other way to put it. CIG is going to make NPCs poop, which means there's going to have to be an animation for NPCs sitting on the toilet taking a shit. There's going to have to be an animation somewhere. Someone is going to have to put on a mocap suit and sit down and act like they're taking a shit in front of a high precision cameras. Caniac, that's what I'm talking about. When Darj and Vertigo and I had that 20-minute tangent about the how much does it cost to hire an actor to do pooping animations, and you know, does this mean that we're going to have with the new medical system, are we going to have diarrhea and constipation? Are those going to have to be mocapped? This is ridiculous. What is the financial cost of hiring an actor to do pooping animations for your game? Just get Jared in the mocap. He'll do it for free. I mean, imagine the faces that like imagine when they bug out and they stand on the toilet, or they're like sitting in air on the toilet, and so the faces are going to be above the stalls, and you're going to look over and you're just going to see this NPC with his like top head picking out, going, oh, and they're making like wild lines, like I'm gonna be a minute. I hope you brought a match. Oh, I shouldn't have had that torpedo burrito. Oh, it's all coming out right now. Oh God, it's so bad. It's so bad. The fact that this has to be a question. This is a question that has to be asked. Thank you for that strong support for the level 4 hype train. I tweeted this out to Vertigo and Darsh. That isn't the first time we've had that. Like that was only the first time we had it. Like pretty much every single time we've Darsh, Vertigo, and I have been together, we've had a tangent on pooping in Star Citizen. Like, oh my God. The man hours, the poor animator who's going to have to sit there and figure out how to animate realistic toilet shitting. Watch too. Chris is gonna like zoom in on like the dude's like thigh and be like, "See, we even captured the ripple of the muscles, simulated the ripple of the muscles as his sphincter is clenching." Like, come on. Anyways, the other than that, the Oops All Sprint report is fantastic. There's lots of really good information in there. A lot of good looks at things like planning, like more than just design, but also planning for locks. So you have to go find the combo to unlock the safes to get the access to stuff. That's pretty cool. That's really good dungeon design. I think we're going to start seeing more actual legitimate dungeons in Star Citizen when you see with some of these space stations and bases. Well, I mean, dungeons is a generic term for like in video games for anything that's like, it comes from D&D obviously, but the idea of having like these large open areas you can explore, that have different paths and they lead to different treasures or traps, T-pose pooping though, yeah. Using motion capture tech. Yes, I know. It's such, think about it. It's going to have to happen. It's going to have to happen. So someone's going to have to put on that suit. I'm not getting back in there. I'm not getting back into that. I'm not getting back. This will be the entire show if that happens. You need thriller-based dungeons and derelicts. Bring in on the horror. Oh no, Star Citizen should 100% be a sneaky horror game. I mean, once you start adding in things like the Boreal Stalker and the pyro crab, and I'm sure other creatures like that. What I'd love to see is a base that's been abandoned on Microtech that you have to go through that has a Boreal stalker that lives in it. So you have like pirates who are trying to clear out the base, and you're going in trying to clear it out as well to try to find some like tech that was left behind by Microtech or some other company like Rayearth or whoever in the in this research base, and you have to fight like a Boreal stalker clan that's made that its home. That would be baller. That'd be insane. Yeah, I mean, I still think, based off of the description of the, what are they called? The Rantas. I felt, oh, wow, I'm really peaking, aren't I? I'm very loud. Let me turn down my volume a little bit. I remember I have to turn down my volume because if I don't turn down my volume here, then what happens is that I get super loud. I'll turn myself up a little bit more. I get super, I'm super soft on the info runners, but I'm super loud everywhere else. Really hope for some Event Horizon feels, though. Okay, so speaking of Event Horizon, it's a good point. Let me pop out this chat here. Do this real quick. So let's talk a little bit about the respawn before we get into the questions and such. So one of the things I've noticed is that the more CIG makes lore, the more they're becoming a baby 40K, whether intentional or not intentional. And the reason why I bring up the Event Horizon triggered in my mind because a lot of 40K fans feel like Event Horizon is a prequel to the 40K universe, because what they when they traveled through space, they went through a hell dimension, which is basically what the warp is in 40K. So and what the latest respawn thing is literally just like Eternals. It's the perpetuals. It's the it's essentially like a basic version of perpetuals. So let me go through some of these. I'm not going to go through all of the stuff because it kind of goes over a little bit, but I will go over and also show you the new screen. Ta-da! We'll also go over the a little bit of this here. All right, so this is the new lore, so I'll go over it and I'll give you some context for it. This was decided that Star Citizen needed to have a technology akin to cloning, where players could bring their avatars back from death, but with a few key requirements that lore would have to address. Your avatar's memories had to be passed on. No point in making a biological copy if they can't remember anything. So to make it make sense as to why you would know things. The process needed to degrade over time, so that people in the universe are not immortal. How your avatar perished should reflect in the new body. If you got blown up, we wanted to see those scars and cybernetic limbs. We also wanted characters to age and not just hop into a younger version of themselves. There should only be one copy of someone at a time, no clone armies running around. Okay, so those are the requirements they had for trying to make this tech work. With these additional elements to work in, it became clear early on that traditional ideas of DNA scans and cloning wouldn't quite meet our needs. Instead, the narrative team began to work on our own fiction to explain the science behind the 30th century medical miracles. Please give a warm Star Citizen welcome to Regeneration. Below is a breakdown of some important terms relating to regeneration, some of which you will be seeing in Alpha 3.15, as well as a brief history of the development of the new technology. Before we get into the new fiction, there's one more reword to discuss: retcon. Since we need regeneration to be fairly commonplace and widespread in 2951, in order to match the gameplay, we had to set the timeline and the lore earlier. However, we also didn't want to invalidate too much of the earlier lore with characters that got killed and stayed dead. This means that the people of the verse have been living with regeneration for a bit longer than you as the players have, but not too much longer. Moving forward, all lore should hopefully correctly incorporate the history of regeneration and its effect on the lives of the people living in the UEE and beyond. Of course, as with all our systems in active development, expect the below to keep being refined as the gameplay matures. Our hope is that this will serve as a solid foundation from which we can build from. Finally, feel free to ask questions on the Lore Ask a Dev forum on Spectrum. We will try to answer what we can in upcoming quarterly Lore Makers community questions post. So, a couple terminology posts. Here's your vocab quiz, kids. Make sure you take it on your notes. This is gonna be on the test. It's very important to know this and know the test is not open notes, so you're going to have to do this on your own. Hey, Julian, how you doing, buddy? By the way, I'm going to definitely do a actual video of this where I sit down and talk about the complications and do more refined. It's going to be the first version of the new Galactic Historian. I'm going to be doing Galactic Historian a little bit differently than I have in the past. The museum pieces are going to be completely different as well. And I'm also going to do a new series, which I've yet to name, but it's going to be a travel series in the verse where I play Paul Shelley, the character in game, kind of doing a travel documentary style thing where I go to all the different places in the universe right now that exist and tell a little bit about the story behind them, a little bit of the fiction behind them. And I'll start with like Lorville. Test is half your grade. Yeah, it's 60%. All right, imprint, the term for a complete and holistic bioscan of an individual that not only creates a record of one's DNA, but also their memories, thoughts, and personality. While imprints can be transferred between spheres without loss, only one copy of an imprint can exist at the same time. Updating an imprint will override all previous imprints. Regeneration. This is the term for the process in which an imprint is used to recreate the deceased source, using the information stored in the imprint. A new body is regenerated, and that is near identical copy of the original, barring the effect of any echoes. Ibrahim Sphere. The technology inside the medical beds and scanners that allows them to create and store imprints. Made out of advanced materials that are alien in origin, the technology behind the spheres was made public to encourage mass production and development. It is important to note that not all spheres are created equal. Higher quality spheres are better able to preserve imprints and cause less trauma during regeneration process, allowing for more cycles before viability failure. Traumatic response echo, or TRE. Commonly known as an echo, this is a term that is used to describe the link between an imprint and its source. When the major traumatic event occurs, such as death or even regeneration itself, the psychological impact of it can sometimes be strong enough to permanently alter the imprint. For example, if a person's legs are crushed prior to death, there's a possibility that the echo will create that will be created that will alter the imprint so that the individual's legs are no longer functional. Echoes are the reason why patients may regenerate bearing the scars and wounds of how they died and why only one copy of a person can exist at a time. Regeneration itself also creates echoes, and over time an individual's imprint will degrade and become less viable. This is also why imprints cannot be used to extend life, as the process of aging itself echoes through the imprints. However, testing has shown that the higher quality the medical equipment and sphere, the less severe the impact of echoes will be. So, this is the grimdark, like real grimdark part of Respawn. So essentially, this is something I pitched on previous episodes of Office Hours and such and so forth, and discussions on the stream, that essentially what we needed was something that was more hand-wavian and much more impactful. It had to, this is a huge change to the universe, so it had to have an impact. It had to have a story impact. And one of the things I said was, we don't really know a lot about the brain now, so you could easily, kind of hand wave it as some sort of brain scan, and that the process of being reborn is very traumatic because you remember your death. And so that trauma can pass down through each scan and then eventually cause things like psychological damage for it to happen, for you to die, or for you to not be able to respawn, just because be recreated, just because, like your brain can only handle so much trauma. That's essentially what they did. This is a technology that allows the scanned person to come back fully as they were before, but remembering and feeling the pain of dying. And so if you remember your death, every single time you die, it can become incredibly traumatic, I can imagine. Yeah, and the thing about psychological damage is that psychological damage can also be linked to neurons. The concept of ghost limbs, where somebody who's lost their limbs can feel their limbs even if they don't have limbs anymore. They can still feel the arms or the legs. It's because of psychological, but also neurological, like the neurons in your body and how they work. So I'm not an expert on that. This is just kind of like more of a off the cuff layman's interpretation. So essentially that's what I'm guessing what this is that your neurons are super fucked after every respawn, every regen, and you're just not the same person. And so that's super dark. Like that's some super like twisted stuff, you know? Hey, Xylo. I mean, I'm just saying. Oh, did someone send you my plea for please God, when you do the mocap for the pooping animations, please record it just for posterity. I mean, make sure everyone's cool with it. But the two things is, one, mocapping pooping animations is bonkers. And so that's hilarious in itself. But also that just shows you how insanely detailed this game is. That's all I'm going to say. Anywho. AAA poop. Yes. So yeah, this is dark. This is a dark universe we live in. All right, so then we have the imprint viability score. This is the number used to rate the viability of an imprint to be used in regeneration, owing to the degradation of experience from echoes. Imprints eventually become so damaged they're no longer viable, and individuals will no longer be able to be regenerated. Using higher quality imprints and equipment will help prolong the patient's IVS. So your IVS is your life counter, essentially. Once you run out of IVS, you have to re-roll a new character. Regen, the term for an individual has undergone regeneration, also slang for the process of regeneration itself. When the game gets further along, especially with reputation requirements and access, there's an incentive to gain access to high-quality healthcare and such by any means. I find the prospect of working from a nobody to somebody of importance in the game very interesting. Yeah, no, it also opens up the reality of reputation becoming a gate for extending your life, which means that working for some shady characters who might have access to high tech may be better, but also means that if you're going to be a pirate or work on the edge of space, you're going to have much shorter life because your regen, your Ibrahim spheres, the ones you're going to have access to, are going to be much lower quality than, say, Microtech or Orison's hospitals. I imagine that joining the better getting an IVS is a prerequisite. Well, we'll talk about this because this is fairly new, this whole process. Question, do you think when the players respawn after dying, they will respawn with Odyssey 2s or just hospital gown? I think, I don't know what they'll do, but I have a feeling that a hospital gown will be a thing, but you will have the basic suit and helmet somewhere stored for you to pull out. Kind of like all your gear will be in a storage shed somewhere, so you can, like in your room when you regen, so you can pop it out and go. There's just no way CIG's taking away your basic equipment. This is just not going to happen. Will we be able to tell what players' characters have been eating the last 3 days by examining them? Oh, God, no. Let's not get into the shitty conversation, all right? You think we come out of the clone fat slimy? No, they 3D print you like in the what is it? Like in the Fifth Element, they just 3D print you. Yeah. Cycle. This is the reference for the period between regenerations. People will ask each other what cycle they're on to inquire how many times they've been regenerated. People are sometimes impressed with how long some have gone without needing a regen. Gap. The term refers to the length of time between an imprint being made and when someone is regenerated. The longer the gap, the more memories and experiences will be lost. Frequent imprinting is strongly encouraged. By a Biotic Corp Regen Serum. The advanced progenitive distillate, which is used as a base material from which cells, tissues, and organs can be bioprinted for the use in regeneration. That's why I'm thinking it's like probably 3D printed or something like that. See, that's the thing, Shadowfox. I think the idea of having a recovery room after surgery to get regenerated and recover after, I like that idea, and I hope CIG is doing something like that, which is essentially like a convalescence time. Like, you just died. You're going to take some time to just breathe before you got to go back out into the universe. And so having the being forced to just sit down and make sure everything's okay, maybe going through some process with a doctor, having a doctor kind of like shine lights in your eyes and ask you a few questions and then have you send you out, makes sense. So you can't just like skip past. Think we'll have a timer for regen? I think we'll have a timer of like a respawn sickness or a respawn timer, like a regen timer, where like there's for a certain amount of time you aren't going to be able to do certain things, or you won't be able to. Now you say that this is definitely more fifth element than altered carbon. Yeah. It's like sort of altered carbon. Yeah, it's sort of like altered carbon, though the altered carbon was more focused with like, what if you, the person, survived, but you the person, were different depending on which, you lived forever, essentially. Like altered carbon is living forever in different bodies. Whereas this is much more just a fun way of using a respawn like thing. Like it's a respawn lore bit, but it's also can play into the story because this is a brand new tech, and so it can be kind of complicated. A bit like waking up from a sleep. Yeah, something like that would work. I'd like to see that because I think having anything that can slow players down a little bit, especially after death, will prevent players from just jumping right back into a combat zone or something else like that. Yeah, in Altered Carbon, you were a chip, but this is a little different. If a character has an expensive prosthetic and dies, well, I want to be able to find my old body and loot my corpse. That's the idea. If you have an expensive prosthetic and you need to go get it, you're going to have to go find it. Corpse runs will be a thing in Star Citizen. Wiped. This is the term used to express when someone's IVS is low enough that they can no longer be regenerated. The term originated from the reference from an imprint being permanently wiped from an Ibrahim sphere. Outlaws will sometimes refer to wiping someone out as killing them in a manner that will stop them from regenerating. This can also be referred to as ghosting. Okay, so they've kind of rechanged it to ghosting. That's what ghosting was originally, was killing somebody. Now ghosting is like ending somebody. Like straight up, you're not coming back. Do not collect. Do not pass. Go. Do not collect $200. Go straight to jail, kind of thing. I like the idea of echoes being basically mental trauma, not letting you get working parts. Yeah, it works. It works for what they need to do, but it also works in terms of, like I said, it's the more that this lore is fleshed out, the more dark Star Citizen's becoming. And it's a good thing, I think, because like the universe itself is not a fun universe to live in. I want to do a video on that as well. It's like how Star Citizen's actually grimdark. it's light grimdark. Not grimdark in the sense that everything is futile and you're all going to die, but like there's definitely elements of like the universe is sort of fucked, which makes it a fun universe to play in. Can't have the lights in the darkness without darkness. Yeah. Question: has the track function on the ASAP ever worked? No, it's not. It's never have, and I think it's going away now that they're switching everything over to something else. Abdi, how you doing, buddy? Corporate Spark, yeah. More Hideaki Anno and than H.P. Lovecraft, yeah. Oh yeah, Hideaki Anno. It's more cyberpunk than grimdark, but it's not really cyberpunk either because, I mean, the Star Citizen as a whole, its story is heavily based off of Blade Runner and Alien, which are technically in the same universe, but like the same idea, which is like cyberpunk, but it's like corporations gone mad with power. Morality is off the chain, willing to sacrifice, you know, hundreds of people for the perfect weapon or whatever. So in the video they had a track button. Okay, so that's good. That might not actually work because it never worked in the Flash version they had with it. Cyberpunk Noir. I'd say it's Cyberpunk Dark, if that makes sense, or Dark Cyberpunk. Because while Cyberpunk is always kind of bleak, Star Citizen is much more bleak. Like this isn't like you got to fight the corporations, man. The corporations have won. Like this is a corporatocracy. It's just not overt. Players are 10% of the population successful enough to work with the independent contractors. Yes. But they're still working in the system that is overly stacked against them. Constant war. Yeah. Corporate sprawl, xenophobia, AI phobia, constant war, interspecies conflicts, you name it. The corps basically run the government. You know, it's all right. I understand you're a new dad. You got other priorities. What have I missed? We've been talking about lots of stuff. You missed the poop conversation. You missed the we're just getting into the history of regeneration, but. All right, dead, kill, murder, etc. As regeneration is still relatively new technology, these terms still refer to stopping of life functions, regardless of whether the individual is regenerated or not. This also, funnily enough, allows for Chris Roberts' legally distinct Nemesis system that Chris Roberts wanted to do. The idea that people remember who you were and will come back after you. Now it makes sense because of the lore. All right, so here's the history. Famed scientist Dr. Aka Ibrahim has dedicated his career to finding a way to restore mental capacity to patients suffering from severe head injuries, brain trauma, or the ravages of degenerative diseases by obtaining detailed scans of their brain before trauma occurred. In early experiments, Dr. Ibrahim was able to repair some brain functionality, like motor functions, but any attempts to restore memories or personality were unsuccessful. While his breakthrough in brain scans helped many patients regain some functionality if a major mental loss occurred, it seemed as if there was little chance for fully restoring the person. Based on his reputation as a medical scan expert, in 2932, Dr. Ibrahim was invited by the UAE government to study captured Vanduul biogenetic scanning technology. The recovered salvage was more advanced than anything that humans had developed and even seemed beyond much of the Vanduul tech that had been previously studied. Dr. Ibrahim and his team were scarcely able to deconstruct the technology they found or even fully understand how the Vanduul were using it. However, it wasn't until a covert naval operation in 2946 that new military intelligence allowed Dr. Ibrahim to unlock the full potential of the technology. Why am I smelling Squadron 42 all over this? Anywho, so there's a couple of big things on this. First off, covert operations in 2946, interesting. And 2932, which was only about 20 years ago, they captured some Vanduul tech. Here's the thing. Vanduul tech, which is not Vanduul tech. It's obviously way beyond what the Vanduul are capable of. So it's something they stole and are using for themselves. This leads credence to the belief that the Vanduul aren't invading the UEE. They're being pushed into UEE space by another force. One that's more advanced than the Vanduul and obviously more advanced than humanity. Because if you know the concept that Star Citizen is based off of, which is the 3rd century Rome, is that the Vanduul are the Vandals who are being pushed out of their territory by the steppe people, specifically the Huns, who would then eventually reach Rome, and there would be a big conflict between the Huns and the Romans. So this has been a theory for several years. This is leading heavy credence to that theory. Ibrahim's sphere. The end result of years of research and creation of the advanced xenomorphic materials inspired by the capture of Vanduul technology, the innovative Ibrahim sphere allows for complete biogenetic imprints to be made of a person. Far beyond just DNA and mental scans, the imprint captures a complete version of someone, including their memories and even their personality. The most surprising thing, however, is that the imprint does not remain static after it's made. So, for you to understand, essentially, it's because it's not static, it means that no matter where you are in the universe, your memories are connected to the last imprint that you made. So your memory will transfer to the imprint, but the further away from the imprint you get, the less precise it becomes and the harder and the less you're able to pull out of it. Whoops, still sub. Thank you so much, Extreme Tuber, for that 16 months. Also, the fact that the Vanduul have been like 3D printing themselves back into battles makes a lot of sense now, because it also explains why the Vanduul have been able to overrun the UEE so easily, even though they lack the technology that the UEE has. The answer is, it's hard to stop a wave of people who keep getting reborn and thrown back at you. That's a lot of bodies. And bodies on point wins wars. That's all I gotta say. So there's no wonder the UE was getting its ass kicked for so long. The Vanduul were practically invincible. So they were Cylons. Yeah, it's got some echoes of Cylons and stuff like that as well. Traumatic response echoes. While the process is still not fully understood, the information recorded onto the sphere remains a connection to its source. If the source undergoes any major life experiences, such as traumatic injury or death, the imprint is permanently altered. Known commonly as traumatic response echo or simply echo. Attempts at using imprints while the source is still alive have all resulted in failure. A leading hypothesis currently being studied is that unique properties of the sphere may be creating a connection similar to quantum entanglement, linking the imprint to its source across interspace. While at first the discovery of echoes left Dr. Ibrahim feeling dismayed, as he had hoped to be able to repair still living patients, a new medical path forward presented itself when the Ibrahim spheres were paired with new groundbreaking tech developed under military contract by Bioticorp. So this has worked for a while, but it was imprecise. So you couldn't bring someone back to life permanently. You could kind of clone somebody and dump the information back into them, but it wasn't perfect. But then in 2949, so only 3 years ago, the first successful regeneration of a human occurred using rapid bioprinting technology created by Bioticorp and the imprint information stored in an Ibrahim sphere. Recognizing this breakthrough's potential, Imperator Addison authorized trillions of credits into making the technology as widely available as possible, going so far as to make the specifications for the Ibrahim sphere public, so that multiple companies could produce scanners and bioprinters needed. Today, while the regeneration process remains costly, even the lowliest space station is equipped with an imprint-capable medical scanner, and billions of lives have been saved. Couple things here. Number one, 2949 was before Addison was elected. Makes sense that if it was developed under the previous Imperator, Costigan, but then Addison took over in 2950, Costigan would probably have sat on it. He's a lot more conservative and patient. Addison, much more okay about technology. She's very much a go-getter, like she wants to push technology as hard as possible. So this technology being developed or being essentially made public under her watch makes a ton of sense. And the fact that she's still kind of naive about things also makes sense as to why she'd make it public. So like criminals have access to it now too. So essentially you have the Ibrahim sphere, which preserves someone's personality and memories and soul, really, and combined with 3D bioprinting, allowing for someone to come back as they were the last time they were printed with the memories and soul of the person, for lack of a better term, was created. Where's the catch? There's always a catch. The catch is that you have traumatic response echoes. So when you regen, you still have some. You could still feel the death. You felt death. You experienced what it meant to die. And say if your legs were crushed and you bled out, well, you experience what it's like to have crushed legs. So your legs may not work very well anymore, so you have to have them amputated and replaced with bionic ones. And of course, you experienced death. Like, yeah, the Sherman tanks of World War II were not better than the tank than Panzers. Quite the opposite. It was we could make so many of them that we were able to overrun the German tanks. Yes. Do the Xi'an have that tech? We don't know. We know the Xi'an are long-lived, but we don't know if they have this tech. I get feeling like crushed legs is getting out of my hab some days. Does the military have a better version of cloning? This is the military's version of cloning. This was developed under military contract. This was a military design that was then made public. Is regeneration instantaneous, or is it body printing supposed to take some time plus the imprint? We don't know the exact time. Probably CIG doesn't even know the exact time. But my guess is that it's pretty quick. Maybe not instantaneous, but probably a couple of minutes, at least in game time. But in a couple of minutes could be like a couple of hours in game time. In reality, it'd be maybe a couple of minutes. So it's 3D printing. It's not really cloning then. No, it's not really cloning. That's why they don't use the term cloning. They use regeneration. It's 3D printing combined with brain scans that are quantumly linked to your own brain, so your memories are imprinted back on to that scan. Aren't Xi'an believed to be slightly more advanced than humans? True. They are believed to be slightly more advanced than humans, but we don't know a lot about the Xi'an. So they could have this technology, but it doesn't explain why they're so long-lived, because this technology doesn't really extend life. It just prevents catastrophic death. Is the regen? Oh yeah, I asked that. Faster than light thought transfer. Yeah. I'm happy the Argo beat Carrick. My MSR may have lost, but she still gets the skin. Yeah, that's what happens. But technically, a person is dead. The soul doesn't transfer to a new body, right? Even if you still feel the experiences of the previous person. Yes and no. I mean, it's still death, but it's not permanent death. There is, as we saw up here, imprinting viability score. So you have a life counter, essentially. So every time you die, that viability score goes down because of the traumatic experience of death is going to imprint onto your imprint. So no matter what, your brain is slowly dying because it's experiencing hyper trauma. You're just getting, and while that is still, I don't think it really makes light of traumatic events. I hope not, at least. Traumatic like injuries, but I really hope it does like emphasize the kind of bleak reality of regen. If TRE makes this grimdark, then so does the Titan suits count as dreadnoughts? Yes. I live again. What would happen if that hit zero? When it hits zero, you're wiped because you can no longer, or less than one, I think. When your IVS goes below 1, you can't come back. So they wipe your imprint, and you're effectively dead because you can't come back. Has anyone mentioned altered carbon? You're like the 4th person to mention it. But yeah, no, a lot of people did. Yes, Argo cargo wins. It almost sounds like the mental breakdown from ReZero. Yeah, I mean, it's very similar, like that kind of concept, and it's not new to science fiction, but it's very interesting because it is very sci-fi. That's one thing I like about this approach, is that it's very science fiction, and without sacrificing realism. They have enough hand-wavium to make it sound legitimate, but it's science fiction enough that it's interested in telling the story about what this is like, rather than super emphasis on realism. I mean, if we had realism, we wouldn't be flying around in space fighters in the 30th century. It's not really realistic. It's fun, but not realistic. So, yeah, and it brings into a lot of philosophical questions. It's like all of a sudden Star Citizen decided they're going to get deep. And the question starts becoming like, effectively, Dr. Ibrahim has proved the existence of a soul. Space. So the hospitals have a sample of your DNA. Do people give consent for hospitals to have your DNA, or is it non-negotiable? In order for you to regen, you have to have an imprint. So you have to agree to imprint your scan, your brain, which includes a DNA sample, at a hospital. And wherever you last imprinted is where you're going to be reprinted, reborn, regened. So you have to give consent. I imagine in 2952, you don't fucking get consent if you're in the military. You're getting fucking imprinted, son. But as players, it's part of like the process. You have to be imprinted just because of it's the way the mechanic works. The gist is, if we fuck around with an alien tech we don't quite understand, and some poor schmuck is going to end up with a fourth leg. We're going to get some poor asshole Tuvixed. In the movie Timelines, they had a concept of copy errors when they jump like a fax. It sounds similar as well. Yeah, I remember that movie. It's similar as well. 30th century of mandatory vaccinations in the military. Yeah. They're no different from today's military? Yeah, pretty much. I mean, can you imagine the force multiplier that brings? Basically, you have, any number, like say the typical, what I keep forgetting, the IVS. The typical IVS score is 10. That means you have 9 lives. Could you imagine, essentially taking your current military force and increasing it 9 times, effectively increasing it 9 times? That's insane. That's like, and plus you remember, so you don't have to train new people. When they come back out, they're still trained. So they still remember everything that they've done before. So they also, like the ability of sending a spy into an area and have them off themselves in order to get back the information. That's nuts. Do civilians need to pay to be imprinted? Yes. Civilians need medical insurance in order to be imprinted, it seems like. Send wave after wave until they reach their kill limit and shut down. Oh, Zap Brannigan. So all ships like the Carrack still have respawn on. Yes, the big dome that's in the back of the Carrack and the 890, that thing that's like a big head, that is an Ibrahim sphere. So that is the thing that regens, that reprints your body when you die. And this also seems to indicate that the idea that tier 1 beds are the only ones that have respawn is now gone. And that might change, that might be retconned, but based on the idea that every single location, a lowly space station has access to this, tells me that the idea that's dead. That now everyone has access to regen if you have a station, and all stations have tier 2 medical facilities. So it's just that tier 1 has more refined medical facilities. So it sounds like you can get reprinted at a space station, but it's going to hurt your IVS score more than if you are at a tier 1. Do you think the hero in Squadron 42 will exist again in 2951? I wouldn't be surprised if this story, if this ends up in some of the Squadron 42 sequels. Because Squadron 42 takes place in 2945, I think, or 46. So it takes place before Regeneration was a thing. At least our Citizen Universe doesn't seem to so bad as Hard Space Shipbreaker. Literally everything in the universe has gone to crap. Yeah. 9 lives, highly advanced tech from an unknown source. Kilrathi confirmed. I mean, I've been saying that there's this mysterious force that's chasing the Vanduul out, or a giant race of cat people, because I mean that's just Chris Roberts' thing. Though I wouldn't be surprised if it was also an AI, or if it was the Krthok. All right. However, with any technological breakthrough, there are still lots of doubts over the tech. Religious groups have protested that what they see as a capture of a being's soul, and some economic groups have expressed worry that the sudden extension of life will have serious impact on society. Also, despite assurances that creating multiple imprints of the same person is technologically impossible, the fear of clone armies remains. To help with this, the government has already placed severe laws around the possibility of attempting to grow multiple versions of an individual, such as such, a feat would cause more havoc on the notion of taxation and criminal justice. So is CIG still working on the Nemesis system they talked about a while ago? And how does this regen system work with that? We don't know, but if it did, if they were, this bodes very well for that Nemesis system. So, for those of you who don't know, the Nemesis system is from Shadows of Mordor, and I think they use it in the sequel as well. But it's been copywritten, so I don't know how CIG is going to get around that. The idea being that if you defeated somebody in the game, like an NPC in the game, they can come back and hunt you because they remember you killing them. So you'd have these orcs that you'd kill, and they would come back, or Uruk-hai. And they'd come back, and they'd get stronger, and they'd learn, and that kind of stuff. They'd kind of anticipate your moves a little bit more. So you create like an enemy. In Star Citizen, the idea was to use something similar, where people would remember after you killed them. With regen technology, that makes sense now, because regen is expensive, but is widely available and has been for several years. So it would make sense that most pirates would have some kind of regen, especially high skill pirates or high ranking pirates would have some sort of imprint somewhere at a pirate station. Shadow of Mordor is an award-winning game. It's not just good, it's great. Thank you for gifting that sub to CK Cretin there, Cannibal. Funny how Assassin's Creed done a copyright on that. Clone got a copyright on that. Yeah. Who are you? Yeah. I'm you, but stronger. With Reputation, I'm hoping that you get a situation where the sibling or parent-child of the deceased hunts you down for revenge, especially if you wipe them. If you ghost them, whoo, oh lord, that's some deep shit. So would most systems have a sort of pirate haven for imprints and regenerations? Maybe not most systems, but there's definitely systems that would have some sort of pirate location or outlaw location with an imprint, with an Ibrahim sphere on it. Now, I would guess that pirate locations are generally going to have worse versions of the Ibrahim sphere. So you'd hit your ISV score much faster than, or IVS score much faster than if you were in a more settled system or in a better technology. But yeah, I would assume that Ruin Station probably has an Ibrahim sphere. I keep calling them Ibrahim spheres because I think that's just what it is. Yeah. Wait, could you pull a Minority Report? What do you mean, Lux? Thank you for that Prime sub. In honor of our victory for our liege Lord Argo, the God King of Cargo, the Argo Cargo. Funny how, yeah, okay, you already said that. This adds a tinge of tension to deep space exploration. Yeah. Thanks. So no clone armor coming in Star Citizen? No. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some cloning, though. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some attempts at cloning. Because cloning technology has been around in the Star Citizen universe for a while. It's just outlawed. That means nothing, but they also have like destroyed most of the research to it. So there is some experience. I think like at one point they mentioned something like being able to regrow lost limbs was a thing, but not like full people. Mr. Sally, we need some lore about new Hull A design. There's no lore about it, but she a thick girl now. She's very thick. She got big. She got chunky. So will destroying the resurrection ship be a thing? Possibly. I don't know if you wipe somebody, if you destroy their imprint. That might be a thing. Like you definitely have to protect your resurrection ships, your regen ships, because if they take if like that Apollo is where you have all your imprints, that Apollo gets downed, you might get wiped. That adds a lot of tension to the game too. Is destroying the imprint, yeah. So that would make sense. That would add a lot of risk to imprinting on a ship. Polaris versus Grey Cat Buggy next year Showdown? Yes. Oh yeah, there's definitely someone who's building a clone army. I guarantee you it's going to be a story point in Star Citizen. So, Abraham spheres like it's unique to the individual. So big spheres and a Carrack and 890 don't fit the description. No. An Ibrahim sphere is the technology that stores the imprints. The sphere is not unique to the person. The imprint is unique to the person. It's the sphere that holds the imprint. The sphere itself is a metallic, exotic metal device that is able to store the imprint. Think of it as a giant computer core for storing souls. So think Star Citizen will have two forms of wiping. One means mind is gone and you can't be cloned anymore. The other has to do with all those bathrooms in our ships. Nemesis is coming back with a clone army. Yes, it's gonna happen. Question. So what happens when you eventually die completely and can't be placed in the same body? Can you use the same handle username in the next one? Yes, I think that's the way that CIG wants it to work, but you have to essentially pay an inheritance tax because whoever you are, you're the inheritor of that title and all of that stuff. So when you eventually get wiped entirely, you have to re-roll a new character. It's same handle, but I also think that CIG is likely going to do away with the handle system in some way, where the handle is more going to be connected to your account, and you're going to have individual names for character slots. So you'll have, though for that thing, but we'll see. So in the future, when CIG wipes, we really get wiped. This is like the 6 Day movie. Yeah, it's very much a 6th Day or the Omega Man, kind of stuff. So it solves the problems. You need lots of new players to keep the game running. You have to start over if you die and start over instead of 10 million players being multi-billionaires, etc. The end of game of now that feeling. Exactly. That's the whole point. That's been planned from the beginning, that you would eventually fully die, and when you fully died, you would come back as a new character, and you'd still inherit all the stuff that your previous character had, but you'd have to pay a fee. Like a certain percentage of your credits would go to getting back all the stuff as a money sink, so that players would feel the pain of dying, and so they wouldn't want to do it, and B, to prevent players from just causing inflation to go through the roof. What is the next of kin concept? Perhaps we could have a family name that carries. But given a few name changes. Yeah, it's the same next of kin. CIG has not really talked about the character names or the handles and how that's going to work. They probably don't even care right now. I feel like the likelihood is that your handle will stick to your account, and you will have a handle for each player character, like for each slot, but you also have a name associated with it. So if you want to, like, say I'm the Astropub is my handle. So if I'm the Astropub, I could make a character whose handle is the Astropub, but call him Paul Shelley as his name. Then I could also make another character who's named, Argo King as his title, and you call him Juan Montoya Valdez, or whatever is his name, as another character slot. Sounds like a Griefer's Paradise. How so, Christian? And it's also like, this is, again, what I just said is not new. That is old information, like very old information. The new stuff is the kind of explanation as to how imprints work. Hey, Naz, how you doing, buddy? So what's the whole issue with passive income in Star Citizen? Not so much that you become rich overnight, but I love the thought of sending my larger ships out for NPC payments. Why is that frowned upon? It's just Chris. Chris Roberts doesn't like the idea of a passive income. He'd rather players actually work for it. He wants the players to be involved in the action of making money, not like a tycoon simulator, is what Chris is. That's again old idea. The unbeatable Pantless, the conqueror. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my previous body. Prepare to die. Star Citizen clicker. Yeah, basically, I don't want a Star Citizen clicker. I think the cost of being regenerated would be far more than replacing a ship. Maybe a very large ship would be expensive, of course. That way you'd prefer to eject into fighter versus dying. I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that. That the cost of regenning is just super high, because it is very expensive. And it would make sense that, they've made millions of Auroras, but they can only print you one at a time. It's old information because it's an old design aesthetic. Do you think this design can actually engage current day gamers? Yeah, I mean, the reason why I was talking about more the passive income thing is the old design, but this idea is an old concept. I think it's better than you think. So Star Citizen was never going to be a action-packed, thrill-a-minute ride. It was always designed to be a live-in experience, an open-world experience where players get to choose the pace at which they want to live their life. And that means that there's going to have to be consequences. And the idea of having money sinks is not old. It's kind of old, but the idea is that CIG is implementing with Star Citizen, or trying to implement with Star Citizen, is essentially taking a lot of what games like EverQuest, WoW, why am I blanking on the name of the MMO that Chris Roberts was part of? Like one of the first MMOs. Ultima Online, thank you, Ulfer. Ultima Online. A lot of the experiences learned from those different games, and games like, Star Wars Galaxies, is that inflation is a problem, and it can be a problem. And so the death mechanics and all of the other kind of fees that you'll incur in game, like docking fees and storage fees and everything, is designed to suck money away from you. Not so much that you'll be completely bankrupted, but enough that if you are careless, you will end up at the bottom of the ladder money-wise. And you'll always struggle to pay to be on top unless you have group funds and other people working together. And even then, you still have to deal with the fees. So there's always some sort of payment you have to work with, which makes sense because in reality, we have money sinks like taxes, and we have to eat, and we have to sleep, and we have to pay rent, or pay our mortgages, or pay, just in general, we have things we have to pay for. So money isn't always in our accounts and always accumulating. We have to spend it. So Like when people go, well, I don't like the survival mechanics. It's like the survival mechanics are a money sink because it's immersive to have to eat and drink, but it also forces you to pay for stuff so that you can't have rampant inflation going on in game. So, it's old tech, but it's really more of taking the lessons I've learned from previous MMOs and trying to head off those problems now rather than trying to implement changes halfway through the whole thing. So. I'm looking for a Vanduul with 6 fingers on his right hand. Have you seen him? Have you? Just like GTA Online, if you take a long break, yeah. I don't think Chris Roberts built UO, but he was part of Origin when they were building UO. So I wouldn't be surprised if he helped work on it a little bit. Because he was making Wing Commander 2, I think, or 3 when UO was being developed. But he was part of the studio that made UO. So I wouldn't be surprised if he coded a little bit for it. Just the way that I understand how video games companies work. At this point, Star Citizen will need a planet or city that only exports salt. Oof. Berthing fees, hangar rentals, hab rentals. Yeah, exactly. Would the cost of H2 and QT fuel act like a barrel of oil in IRL? Yeah, I mean, it'll go up and down based off of the supply of those fuel assets for sure. And certain areas will have cheaper hydrogen fuel or cheaper QT fuel than other places, simply because it has easier access to them. Which is better for trade, Freelancer or the Cuddy Black? Freelancer, 100%, hands down. Take it to the fucking bank. The Freelancer is better. It holds more stuff. It's more built for it. The stock Freelancer is like heads and shoulders above the Cuddy. It also has a toilet. But yeah. Will the UE also invade places for QT fuel? Ferrosalt? I'm going to blow your mind. But that's what Stanton was for. It wasn't really QT fuel, but it was effectively the same idea. There were people who lived in Stanton before the UEE showed up. But when the UEE found out that this wasn't just a system, this was a system that was connecting, that helped basically connect Earth to Terra. Yeah, all the people who were there before the UEE, they gotta go. Eminent domain, bitches. And it wasn't just eminent domain, we're going to hand you a legal document. It was eminent domain, we have a fucking Bengal carrier. Get out of your fucking homes. So... yeah, I always like to say that Ninetales are rebels, not pirates. I wouldn't be surprised if the Ninetales were the original residents of Stanton who just got absolutely dicked by the UEE. Cuddy is a better ship overall. I would say the Cutlass is a fantastic 100% hands down ship if you want a jack of all trades. But if you're looking specifically for trade, Freelancer all day. The Cuddy just doesn't have enough cargo capacity. Like it is like the Cuddy is like 44 cargo and the base Freelancer is like 66 or something like that. It's a huge difference. That's for almost the same sized ship. You're dealing with much more money for Freelancer. And the hulls are in, but the hulls aren't trading ships, they're hauling ships. There's a difference. So Stanton is basically the same as Firefly situation. Similar, but there wasn't an active revolt that we know of in Stanton, though there probably was. They haven't written the lore behind it. Huey Idris, hippity hoppity, get off Empire property. Yeah. Busta! How is the Buster Bars thing? Can we get a follow command from Buster Destroyer? Fantastic streamer, content creator, worth your time, worth your effort, worth your viewing, worth your follow, and worth your subscription. Buster got claws, I saw. I don't think Star Citizen has good guys. You think of less than horrible. Yeah, that's why there's a lot of references that I would make to the 40K universe. But the 40K universe is more of a... Like, it started out with the idea there's no such thing as good guys, and it's kind of evolved over time where there are people who are better than others. Star Citizen's not grim dark in, like, direct sense. I call it grim dark light, or I should say grim dark punk, because it's like Cyberpunk and grimdark had a baby. But like, there are good guys in the Star Citizen universe. It's just no good guy is without their faults. And that's what makes the universe and the lore of Star Citizen so interesting. There's nobody in this universe who is objectively good. Even Crusader has its own problems. It's the closest thing to being objectively good that exists, but they're also still a corporation, so they still kind of do terrible things at times for money. But Grimpunk. Yeah. Star Citizen is Grimpunk. What's the difference between trading and hauling? So trading is taking a commodity that you want to sell at a location, sometimes on speculation, or buying something that's rare that you can sell to somebody else for a profit. Whereas hauling is being paid to ship a box from point A to point B. A freelancer is a trading vessel that can do hauling. The Hull A is just a hauling vessel. It just hauls cargo. You're not going to be trading in the Hull A. Yeah, with hauling is more by consignment. You're being paid to move stuff. Whereas freelancers, you can, with trading, like the freelancer, you don't just haul other people's things for them. You can also buy things and sell them for a profit over there, like on speculation. Bonded carriage, yes. I need to organize it more. I want to fill a freelancer before CitizenCon with Buster Bars. We got to test that persistence out for C. Roberts and Tony Z. You just let me know the date. Let me know the date, girl. We'll sit down with the group and just buy Buster Bars and start throwing it into things. Here's 10 shipping containers. Get them to green. Don't open them. Yeah, pretty much. Inner Hype is he's the zealous prophet of the freelancer. As I've said, I'm torn between the Cuddy and the Freelancer because I think the Freelancer is a fantastic ship and I like it for what I want to use it for, but the Cutlass is just a better all-rounder. Argo is the best ship. Well, that's now proven. The MPUV is the best in show. Hey, how's it going, Algrid? The election for Imperator showed that none of the candidates were perfect and all of them had skeletons. Yep. As we've now learned, because Addison decided that everyone gets immortality. Even horrible pirates. Even terrible criminals. You all get effective immortality. Thanks, Addison. Maybe you shouldn't have just gone off on that shit. I did watch ISC. That's why we were talking a little bit about that. Cockpit struck thickness, yes. Okay, Grievous Paradise equals PO. Kill everyone on the platform who jumped on ship with a group of 10 to 15 people, maybe even more. Way to lose all lives before you can even fly. There are many noobs trying first time also. Christian, this system isn't going to be in place in 3.15, but that's one of the reasons why they're moving away from pad spawning and into hangar spawning. And there are also going to be repercussions for just murdering people on pads. Your reputation will go down, and your reputation will determine things like where you can land and where you can go. So people who are pad griefing or griefing on pads and stuff like that will find it difficult to do it more than a handful of times. Backers followed the meme for Addison and AI. There was legitimate people who were legitimately voting for Addison, but she was definitely the meme vote as well. Since a player can run for senator, does that mean we can also run as imperator? Well, so they may be stepping back on the idea of players running for senator, but we'll see. And the next time the imperator is being elected is in 2030, 2960, effectively in game. So we got a long time. We got 9 years of development before they have to figure that out. Yeah, we're talking about the IC a little bit. Yes. That's almost beta 9 years from now. So we don't even have hauling in game yet. No, we don't. We don't have hauling in game yet. But I think with the creation of things like the Quanta system and the dynamic mission systems being created, combined with the physicalized cargo, which is something they're working on right now as well, that's going to be the beginning of the hauling system, which is why the Hull C and the Hull A are both being worked on. Also because the Hull C is apparently in Squadron, I guess, because it had to be worked on for Squadron. But both of those ships will be in... are coming into the universe now because CIG is going to be finishing up the hauling systems. Hey, Alanon. We have courier missions and that count towards hauling technically, just very low volume hauling. Yeah, one tiny box. Master vote for Imperator. You don't want me as Imperator. Trust me. Oh, yeah. Unless someone tries to off Addison, just saying, she introduced this text, so you can't offer. Checkmate. I give that 14 months of a subscription there, Pickle Skin. Anything you put in your cargo bay, you're hauling someplace. Trading, think BMM. Well, no, not everything you put in your cargo bay is hauling, because if you own it yourself, you have to trade it. You're still trading it, you're just not selling it. So really, there are 3 different play styles when it comes to mercantile. You have hauling, where you don't own the cargo, you're just moving it from point A to point B and being paid to do that. You have trading, which is you own the cargo and you're trying to sell it in bulk at a location for a high price, and you're buying it low. And then you have kind of more merchant or like shopkeeper gameplay, which is like the Banning Merchantman, where you own things and you're selling it directly out of your ship or out of a stall that you own, versus trying to sell it to somebody else in bulk. So those are the 3 different types of gameplay you see. Right now, we just have the trading, which is buy low, sell high. But the majority of the gameplay will be cargo hauling. You just move stuff around, which the Hull A is and the hulls are going to be fantastic at, but they're going to take longer to load and to outfit than, say, a Freelancer or Cuddy will be. Plus, they're also pinatas. I'm going to need a fleet of Argo cargoes, a Hull C, and a low orbit and low border of Jumptown. We taking drugs to Pyro. It's going to happen. So the IC kind of confused me. They're updating the Hull C, but they also said it was moving into gold standard. That's the same. They're updating it with gold standard. When the gold standard is just updating it. That's what that means. Yeah, what you're going to do, Fair Assault, is you're going to go to Pyro to buy the drugs, and you're going to bring the drugs back to Stanton and sell them, and you're going to buy a bunch of bread and water and medical supplies, and then you're going to ship that back to Pyro and sell them that, because they only have drugs and guns. So you buy the drugs and guns at Pyro, sell them in Stanton, and then buy the bread, water, and Band-Aids, and then sell them at sell them at Pyro. The Dream Team is an Argo, a Herc A2, and a Herc A2. Dream Team is an Argo and a Herc A2, the ultimate planetary assault combo. Yeah, you could put like 2 or 3 Argo. Oh yeah, you could do an Argo MPU VC and an Argo MPU VP, and inside an A2, fly over, drop bombs. The MPU VC has equipment, and the P will you land that, and you drop out 8 troops at the back, and then you can kind of ferry back and forth as you need to. God, yeah, that's actually really good. That's a fantastic combination. Because they have munchies from all the drugs, also from the fact that they don't do anything but make drugs, so they don't exactly have a working economy. Don't they actually enact the policies? What do you mean, Algrid? There's the 4th: make a cargo box maze with trip mines and be the best of the prize. Hot dropping an MPU VP is going to be all kinds of sketch. Yes, but it's cheap. Do I think the Gen 12 renderer will improve performance on lower end machines? Yes, I think it definitely will. Do I think it'll be a significant improvement? Probably not. Not because it's not really designed to be an improvement for performance. It's designed to improve render distances and other things like that in game. So it's not designed as an improvement. It's just tangentially will have that option. Kale, you missed everything. Absolutely everything. I'm not even joking. We talked about the ISC and the changes that are coming. Like we're the first looks at the whole C, the new whole C, the whole A, white box, the Redeemer updates, the Ares, the Vulture, all those good things. Plus, we've got new things on tech like the locks, and then we went through the entirety of the new respawn mechanic called Regen and how it works. Oh, we also missed the poop mechanic, the poop mocap. There will be. We spent a good solid 20 minutes on. There will be some poor soul who's going to have to mocap taking a dump. Execute just wants me to talk about the garbage fire that is the Redeemer. I hate that shit. Versus a loose 20 minutes. Yes, it was a solid 20 minutes. What do you mean it's a load of crap there, Phantom? What do you mean? Because I hate the... No, I'm not going... All right. So, everyone asks why do I hate the Redeemer, and every time I talk about it, Buster starts getting angry that I get off on a tangent. The long and short of it is, it was part of a competition. I didn't think it should have won. It did win because they knew how to market well. I don't think it fits with the scheme of Aegis, and I've always thought it was a little bit of an overpowered ship. And as a result, I just don't like it. I just especially don't like the aesthetics. Those hair straightener engines just make me irrationally angry. It looks nothing like an Aegis ship. It looks nothing like any of the other Aegis ships. It's more bulbous than it is sleek. It looks more like a bubble than, it looks like a baguette compared to the more smooth lines of Aegis. Its engines make no sense compared to the other Aegis engines. I guess they're, hybrid, whatever. The only thing that's even somewhat close to Aegis is the cockpit. Related to it's too good. I hate it because it's kind of like it's been its own meme, and the fact that CIG's just been buffing it to make up for its aesthetic shortfalls, it just goes like, oh yeah, we already know it kind of sucks, so we're just gonna make it a beat stick so that people won't complain as much. Would it have been better if they changed the manufacturer of the Redeemer? Yes, if they made it and no, the Anvil wouldn't really work, but maybe like a misc ship, or I'm trying to think of other bulbous designs. There's not really too many like bubbles. Maybe Origin. No, that doesn't really work with Origin either. You know what it should be? It should be a what's it called? Asperia. It should be a hybrid human Tavaran ship. Asperia's first original design. That's what I would say. Because it makes sense. You have this experimental wings, the engine wings. You have something that's more like an Aegis design. It has some elements of an Aegis or human designs in there, but it's still very much, Tavaran in a lot of its inspiration. It looks very much like an homage to Tavaran ships now that the Tavaran ships have been out. Yeah. Especially with the wings on the Tavaran ships and how they kind of manipulate and such. Will you become the next space Montana and get a space mansion with space tigers when the new space systems come in? I'm not saying I'm going to be a drug lord. I'm just really implying it. Turn the hair curlers into bird wings, yeah. Yeah, it would be fantastic. Asperia's first original design. Taking elements from say like a lost Tavaran dropship, like a baby version of the Prowler, or some ship that they invented during the second Tavaran War versus the first, that utilized a lot of Prowler designs but was changed it around. But Kruger gunship, it doesn't really work with Kruger though. Not Kruger's designs either. Yeah, the like reciprocating pumps in that thing. No, that's bad. That looks nasty, and I don't want any of it. The Redeemer is bigger than a Prowler, I think. It might be. An Asperia Mutt, yeah. It would also make sense to call it a Redeemer, because it's the idea is that it's this design that's meant to return or redeem, this ancient design that was used to kill humans now is redeemed as a defender of humanity. My plan isn't to be a gaudy drug lord. No, my plan is to be a good smuggler who owns a bar. And when anybody asks, I'm not a smuggler, I'm just a trader of a very high quality liqueur. Paul accepts the Redeemer under Asperia. That ship is already that ship has sailed. Why don't I work for CIG? honest question or honest answer, I don't really like, they don't need more writers. I'm okay at marketing, but I also am afraid that, you know, of the high turnover for marketing. And the only company I'd work marketing for would be CIG. And like, that's not a career. That's not like even if Star Citizen lasts another 10 years, I'd be in my 40s. What am I going to do once Star Citizen, you know, like CIG, you know, packs up shop and goes somewhere else or does another game? Now I'm going to have to find another game to be a marketer for. And I wouldn't, you know, have the passion for it. So the pay is also pretty low compared to what I get paid as a teacher. But I really like teaching. It gives me the flexibility to do other things I want to do as well. Wildline, make all eyes sharded, move. Han Solo with the little arm straps. Han Solo is the worst fucking smuggler and pilot in the whole goddamn Star Wars universe. That's all I'm going to say. He's all talk, no action. Lando's a better fucking smuggler than Han ever was. Yeah, he did the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs and wouldn't shut up about it. What fucking smuggler tells all their secrets? Lando bought a fucking floating city. Okay, he bought a planet with his money. He cashed out and went legit. Han ended up owing money to a giant death monster, to a space slug who also happened to be one of the biggest gangsters in the universe. That's just fucking dumb. He bought on credit. That shit's stupid. For his people, he dealt with he made a deal with Vader for the safety of his people. Once he could assure that his people were safe under the rebels, he immediately turned on Vader. In his defense, he didn't say how he did the 12 parsecs. He also wrecked the ship in the process, yeah. Yeah, and the ship did it, not him. Because he dumped the spice. Yes. Because he screwed up and bought on margin. Why did he buy on margin? Why didn't he say that he could get the spice for Jabba, or even take a fucking job for Jabba? That's a lot of fucking heat for not a lot of reward. We gotta make it exciting to pull in the crowd. No, I get it. It's a good character development. I'm just saying, people will say, I want to be Han Solo. It's like, why, you want to be a terrible smuggler and a horrible pilot? Yeah, he was running spice for Jabba. He took a job with Jabba the Hutt, who is known to fucking murder people. And has been doing so. Dog
calls himself an outlaw.
Has been doing so for years. Since the Clone Wars. That man has been, that slug has been killing people who cross him. Why would you ever take a job from that dude? Unless you were absolutely desperate and were just okay with dying being the other option.
Weapons free, y'all.
Killed by his own son, married to a woman who fell in love with her brother. Yeah, I guess so. Do I think that Mercury would stay the best smuggling ship? I think it's not the best smuggling ship right now. I'm just gonna be very, very honest. As the weirdly premier smuggler in the Star Citizen universe, the
Drugs.
the MSR is the worst smuggling ship. It's not the worst smuggling ship. It's not an ideal smuggling ship right now because the volume is too low and the profits are too low. The current best smuggling ship remains the Cutlass Black because it has the Cutlass Red because or blue probably because the blue has speed. Because you don't need a ton, you need like 20 units.
Distress bacon.
Shush, chill out, chat. You need about 20 units of cargo to move at max. You need speed, you need efficiency, you need low sig. That's it. The Mercury Star Runner has way too much, cargo space for what it needs to do. Now, the Mercury is eventually going to be a good smuggler because it can essentially stick its contraband in the in its shielded compartments and still carry actual cargo. So when it gets stopped and searched, when they scan them, they'll just see the cargo and just like, we're a cargo runner and an info runner. What do you want from us? So yes, anyone who's smart enough will know that that it could be a smuggler ship, but would you really want to pull over every single... This is how I turn off that, guys. This is why I had it turned off for the office hours in the past. If you abuse it, I won't take it away from you. That's how that works. Maybe this the stealthed out 350R, the 315P. The 315P is, or the currently the Nomad are some of the best smugglers because of their high-low cargo capacity, their stealth, their speed, their maneuverability, and the potential for loadouts. I want to smuggle things like Tavaran top secret weapon tech and the Banu heirloom music instruments, unlike any humanity has. Yeah, I mean, that's not really smuggling, but I guess you could if you want to pay taxes on it. Classer 101 there. Gave the class a little bit too much freedom. Got to take it back. Got to pull it back. 315 is perfect. It's designed as a long range running. It's an exploration ship. It has, I think, 15 SCU of cargo, and it has a bed. It's an internalized cargo bay too, so it works pretty well for that. It can be fit out with stealth mechanics and or decent jump drives, and it has its own like built-in tractor beam if you really wanted to use that. The 315P is a fantastic smuggling ship. It just on the way that smuggling currently works in game, and I think even in the future, the 315P is going to shine as a solo smuggler. The Reliant, not so much. She's a little too fat. She's a little too big. So she has a little bit too much of a cross section. And I don't think her speed is very good. The 315 speed is fantastic. I think even the Nomad is up there as well. I think the Nomad is faster than the Reliant. So both of those ships are much better in terms of options because with smuggling, you want low seg, you want speed because you're not going to be fighting anybody. You're going to be running away from them. Unless you absolutely have to fight them, you shouldn't be fighting them. You want cargo capacity, the sweet spot of cargo capacity, because you're running high value, low quantity products. And you want something that is, as a result, is also able to slip in and out of places pretty easily, and has the ability to have things like additional stealth technology or increased range. A cargo retaliator, that's too much guns. Like too much guns, too many missiles. Like it's a lot of wasted space. You could use a retaliator to smuggle. It's just pretty big of a target. If I was going to be using something the size of a retaliator, I'd be using likely an MSR just because of its multiple purposes. Paul, do you own a pirate hat? And can you wear it for the Info Runners episode on smuggling? I don't. I used to have one, but I think I tossed it when we moved. I have to buy a new one. But yeah, it's Halloween, so I could probably find one. What you're really saying is that you see your father in Paul. Woof. Lando bought Orson, basically. Yeah. Well, he didn't really buy it. He turned it into a political career because he was elected leader, if I remember correctly. He didn't but he may own the company that does the gas mining, but he wasn't like. I don't know the whole lore behind it. I know that he was popular. It wasn't just that he bought it. It was also that they wanted him to lead. I heard the Cuddy Black is a tractor beam ship. That's why the pirates love it in lore. It actually has tractor beams. Yes, the two front stanchions on it. If you look at the writing on the two front like little arms, those are both tractor beams. And Italia's a great smuggling. Most people will see not to bother scanning it. They just see nope out and increase its torps on them. Well, most retaliators won't actually have the torps. If you buy a base retaliator, the only reason why you have a bomber right now is because they don't have the module swaps for the torpedo bays. But once you get the base retaliator, you just lose all of those torpedo bays. You just have blank spaces that you have to replace with modules you purchase. So either cargo or living or drop ship. There's a drop ship module you can get. So I like 50 plus SCU for smuggling range for the win. Run plus risk is a big biscuit. If you get even bigger biscuit as payout when you don't lose. What are you talking about, Miles? 50 SCU. It's a good spot. I think when it comes down to it, I think the best amount of SCU. The average amount of SCU is probably going to fall more along the 40 line, 40 to 60. So a Cutlass Black or a Freelancer, between those two. And the reason why, say, a Mercury Star Runner is good is because the Mercury Star Runner can smuggle goods, but it can also smuggle information, and it can carry legitimate information and legitimate cargo, so that you can mix in your illegitimate stuff with legitimate stuff to make it harder to discover. So you also double your income. Essentially, any smuggler who owns a Mercury is not just a smuggler, but they're an info runner and a trader. So as far as any law authority sees them, they are just an info runner and a trader. They have nothing to do with smuggling, but secretly they move some high value cargo. So you kind of have to do a little bit of both as with a Star Runner. Do I think the Retaliator modules will be back in sale? Yes, they'll go back on sale. Once they have modularization working, they'll put it back on sale. And the Mercury has a kitchen. It has a kitchen. It has beds. It has some decent stuff with it. Yeah, the MSR is a ship without a purpose, is what it is right now. Based on the conversation with Ghost Reaper, we can smuggle people too. Yeah, I mean, not just slaves, but also because there are slaves in like Banu, but like you'll probably be able to smuggle people out of places like out of Lorville, or smuggle criminals from one place to another, try to up at the law, so stuff. And as a chessboard, yes. Question: the Freelancer miss for smuggling? It's what I use. For my smuggling is Freelancer Miss, mostly because it has decent speed. It has just enough cargo for what I need it for, but it also has teeth. So if I get into trouble, I can blow my way out of it. And it has enough space for multi-crew. So it's a little bit more viable for that. And if I want to do a little bit of mercenary work on the side, I guess still have that availability. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's not a bad choice. It only falls short of the speed category, because again, speed is life in smuggling. If you get caught, running is how you survive, not fighting. Because if you fight, you get crime stats. If you get crime stats, now you're going to jail. Now you're gonna have to waste time in jail dealing with the bullshit of jail, and you're not smuggling, so you're not making money. Leave that to the pirates. You know, the pirates are the ones who are going to make money by getting crime stats. Smugglers fly under the radar. We don't want crime stats. We don't want to be well known. Shielded cargo compartments will hide your ECS if you're in them. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if CIG, once they start doing physicalized cargo, will introduce something like a cargo crate that is shielded itself from scanning, or has false scanning that you can use. So if players are scanning you, they won't see anybody. And if or NPCs are scanning, they don't see anybody. So they'd have to know what that cargo container looks like in order to, like, physically, in order to see it. Redeemer with cargo module good for smuggling. Again, the Redeemer, it just has too many guns, and it's way too reliant on multiple people. Like, to run an effective Redeemer, you need like 4 people. For that number of people, you could run 2 smuggling groups. You know, 2 or 4 315Ps, or 2 Cutlass Blacks, or 2 freelancers. You know, effectively, and that's a lot more money you're going to make out of that crew than you would just with one Redeemer. It's just too much. Like I said, it's just too reliant on firepower. Yeah, you know a bad smuggler when you know their name. Yeah, that's a what's that Game of Thrones quote? You know, there's no famous smugglers are the worst type of smugglers. Ave Argo Cargo. Yes. I want NPVU modules. Yes. Just saying, bigger cargo and more drugs equals more possible payout, but yeah, likely the economy will dramatically lower your profit per unit, hindering your total profit and a larger load beyond some point. Yeah, you're gonna want to hit a sweet spot for demand versus supply. Sometimes pulling in more drugs or a contraband is going to be good because there's more of a demand for it, especially if local forces are clamping down on whatever's going on. But we'll have to see that. Question: looking forward to exploration and maybe smuggling. Do you know if I'll be able to set the freelancer turret with a server blade? Exploration for me is at random times. IRL equals solo. Yeah, you could probably do that. I mean, it's probably not as effective, but yeah, you probably could put it into as a slot an AI blade into the turret. Yeah. When do we have to purchase the cargo for the skin and the backpack? Backpack is everyone gets. But if you purchase the Argo cargo before IAE, which is November, then you will have a leather jacket. Each of the winners are getting a leather jacket that you get. So there's an Argo cargo leather jacket. There's going to be a Mercury and a Hercules jacket and a 600i leather jacket. So if you want that, you'll need to get it, and then everyone gets the backpack. AI blades aren't a thing yet, right? No, but they've been far enough along in development that they're like already kind of bespoke on certain ships. So they're already thinking about using them in the near future. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw AI blades being added into the game in the next year or so. Probably not until the end of next year or the beginning of 2023, but we'll see. Cost of an Argo MPUV, $35. It's the cheapest Best in Show winner we've ever had. And it's on sale right now, I think. Is it just the Hercules or specifically C2? Specifically the C2. You have to have the Argo MPUVC, the Hercules C2, the 600i Touring, and the MSR. You have to have those specific variants to get the skin. At least as of last we've heard. Whole A looks amazing. Whole A looks great. It looks like exactly what I'd expect from it, which is a hybrid between the Freelancer and the Prospector that has a shit ton of cargo on it. It works. All hail the King Argo Cargo. Yes. Praise be the God King of the UEE. Next year, Best in Show should be Grey Cat PTV. I've heard a lot of people say that. I don't know if CIG is going to allow another meme ship like that to win. You know, again, the PTV deserves some recognition. She deserves some love. She has some skins though. But I don't think CIG would let it happen. They may let it happen in 2023, but I think next year they're definitely going to make some changes to both the bracket system and to how they choose these ships and to how the winners can do it. I think next year I'll be pulling for the Terrapin because the Terrapin is one of those ships that has 0 skins, is a fantastic little ship, will never beat the Carrack ever or any other, ship, but it has a lot of dedicated fans that just aren't there anymore. I think the Terrapin would be my pull for next year for getting onto the top 16. Hey, Toy. Thanks for that raid. Welcome, buddy. How was your stream?
Cash it as wares, if you have coin.
What color is the Expo this year? White and blue, like a darker blue. Thank you, Fresh Salt. Stream was good. Awesome. Argo One, I'm happy. You and me both, brother. You and me both. Maybe I just didn't notice this before, but you got partner? Fantastic. Maybe I saw that before and my brain is just so tired I don't recognize it, but congratulations, buddy, if I didn't say that earlier. How long ago was it? Was it recently or was it a while ago and I'm just an asshole? A month or so ago. Okay, so it wasn't too far ago. Congratulations again. Do I think the whole C will make the cat obsolete for hauling? I'm worried about balance. So here's the thing. I'm going to put my execute hat on. I actually have a hat. Hold on. I don't have a real hat. I do have a real hat. I just have a Snake Eater hat. So I'm going to put my execute hat on to cover my bald spot. And let me go over why the cat is important. The cat is important because why you want a cat is because of its modules. Its modules are its real big draw because you can essentially diversify into whatever you need to. Likely, the cat will have things like liquid fuel modules where the hulls will require special cargo containers to hold those. You could just need a module to swap it out. And it's also internal pressurized, so there'll be some material that can't be carried by a hull that have to be carried by an internal pressurized cargo area. So, fine, Paul. Pull out my Paul wig. Yeah, your powdered your powdered wig. Wait, where did Paul go? And make sure you guys are following and subscribe to Toy Grubbin. He's a fantastic content creator, worth your time, worth your energy, worth everything. Go follow Toy. I've heard in some places that he is the living meme of Star Citizen, and I think he is the living embodiment of this community in all ways, shapes, or forms. It's fantastic, worth your time. He'll stream for 16 hours straight sometime, just start playing Star Citizen. He has energy that I have no idea where he gets it from. Not able to land on planet side with whole seas, a massive limitation. Yeah, with the whole sea specifically, you're going to need Argo cargoes to be able to unload you when you get to a destination. So the loading time is going to be very different from an Argo cargo compared to a cat. Even though you have more cargo space, you're going to be hauling much more common items. Caterpillar is pretty much a low-cost Carrack. They share many features, yeah. But containers are pressurized. Yes, the internal containers, but like for instance, you have to have a the containers may be pressurized, but they may not be temperature controlled. They may just be like essentially shipping containers, where they may be pressurized, but the internal temperatures may swing wildly depending where you are. So what you're carrying in the externals, in an external cargo of a hull, is stuff that is non-perishable, that isn't really affected by, doesn't require some kind of life support to continue to exist. Whereas it's much easier just to stick it in a hull that already has life support, pressurization, and temperature controls and such. Praise be the shipping container, for the shipping container makes everything faster. Yeah. Yes, but now you're adding cost, Fair Assault. When you're adding like refrigerated shipping containers or livestock, like I'm guessing there would be some that you could transport like frozen people, like people who are in cryogenic stasis. You could probably transport them in a whole sea in a specialized container, but that would require power, its own power source. Probably have limited lifespan, so you're talking about a timed delivery, all sorts of things like that. So, and it adds the complexity and adds to the cost. Whereas you could just stick them in a cat and it doesn't cost you any more money because the cat already has the life support that's built in. Load up on Captain America's, yeah. Capsicles. Will the hull B also be able to land like the hull A? Yes, the hull B and the hull A can both land fully laden. That's their advantage, but they don't carry as much as the hull C. Isn't there a mission for that has people in cryo on the cat that you need to release? Yes. That's I can't remember the name of it. It's one of the Ticia Pacheco missions, but yes. Also, hull containers are not shielded by any hull armor, and I'm not even sure the shields would extend there to the containers. I'm sure they will, but like they don't have hull armor, so it's like a piñata. Yeah. How you do, fellow kids? Hey, Neuroflame, how you doing, buddy? Before we wrap all of this up, let me show you my, as is tradition here on the Office Hours, I'm for those who don't know, I do mini painting as a hobby on the side, and so every so often I show off stuff I've been working on. I do a lot of Warhammer. I do have some Star Citizen ships that I'm going to prime and paint live on, probably not on Twitch, but definitely on YouTube. We'll do kind of a painting, me being live and painting a little bit for y'all's entertainment. Some Star Citizen vehicles. But I have to assemble them and stuff like that. And I've got some backlog I want to get through beforehand. So I got the Octarius box set for Kill Team because it's something that I can get Cam into, my wife Camilla, and get her into it as well. Because she already has some minis that she has to kind of build and paint. So getting that, it came with a bunch of terrain. I've never painted terrain before. So I sat through the last couple of days and I've just painted terrain, which is pretty fun. So here's where I show off a little bit. Since it's a little bit bigger, so it doesn't require as much. Nice rusty building. A little bit of a... I didn't say I said terrain. This is actually probably the best thing I've done. Right here. This is the best terrain I've done. It looks grungy. These are the first ones I did. So I drop it. These are the second ones I did right here. These are just kind of scatter terrain on the ground. And then, of course, the first things I did, just because they were small and I kind of learned about it, so they're not as good as some of the other ones, but these little barriers. Yeah. You make war in my office? Sort of. I keep them here in my office, but when Cam finishes building and painting her minis, because she actually has been painting minis longer than I have, but she usually kind of paints like D&D minis. So when she finishing painting her minis, then we'll do like we have game nights on Sundays, so we'll like sit down and play, you know, a little bit of kill team together, have that kind of stuff. Orc boys must know that the first one is the power, because it's the yellow thumpy bit, thunderbolt. Yes. Unpainted Reaper in shame. I mean, I have my pile is still pretty big. I have way too much that I need to do. But I got through some of the kill team stuff because I finished my kill team last week completely. So now I was going through the terrain because these are bigger ones. I still have some more terrain to build from an older set that I never did, but I wanted to get this done because of the new sets and everything. So it looks pretty cool. Yeah. This is good resell Games Workshop stuff. Yeah. Makes me think of Reclamation Disposal Orinth. Yeah, yeah. A lot of people, and I posted on Twitter, a lot of people said it looks like something you'd see on Hurston. I'm like, that's kind of what I was going for, so I guess it works. I like that Orky. Yeah. Well, the Octarius set came with Orky terrain. That's one of the reasons why I got it, is because A, it had new Orc commandos, which I was kind of cool with. B, it was a intro box to Kill Team, which I wanted to get into because Cam was getting into Warhammer, and it came with Orky terrain. I'm like, I'm an Orc player. I gotta have the terrain, man. So, and I had a discount, so I got it at a pretty steep discount, which is not bad. Flies Argyle PV with great speed and crashes into chat. Hey, Knight Rider. How's it going, buddy? Thank you for having humor. And can everyone give Show Knight Rider some love right now? For those who don't know, Knight Rider is like a senior mod, one of the main lead mods on the on Spectrum. So I can imagine your job right now is very, very tiresome and very taxing. So thank you for all you do, Knight Rider. For Spectrum, yeah. Workshop of Shame resale site for people who got around to painting. There's plenty of mini places that do that. It's been an interesting week for sure. Yeah. But he's here not to talk about his job. I just wanted y'all to set some to just put some respect on his name. Make sure you keep some unpainted. I'm told that we cannot die as long as we have unpainted minis. That is true. We can die. We just can't go off into the afterlife. So we just remain as ghosts forever. Though I think once I finish the rest of the orc backlog that I have, I'm going to do this. This will probably happen after Citizen Con. There are 4 of them in here. They're very small. But I have 4 of these. I have a freelancer and a Cutlass Black. They also sell a Pisces in this size, the Freelancer Max, the Freelancer Dur, and a Cutlass Red. Yeah, and a Cutlass Red as well. So in the same size. Those are the miniature diorama ones. Yeah, they are. They're also great size for miniature wargaming at some point, maybe. We'll see. A technique called dry brushing works wonders for the age of those models. Yeah, so that's a lot of that is dry brushed. A lot of those like this one right here. This is mostly dry brushed. The I have what I did is I painted on the original, the darker colors like the red you can see in here, and the different metals. And then once I did that, I went over with a first obviously base painted it first. Then I went over with some of these pipes and such, and then between here I went over with a dry paint called Riza Rust. Dry painted that on. Then I dry brushed with a technical color called Typhus Corrosion. More of a shade, but it's basically dirties everything up. Then I went back over with the Riza Rust once more. And then I hit some highlights with some grays and whites on the top that you can kind of see here to make things pop a little bit more. So, but I was running out of Typhus Corruption, and I had those big ones left, and I didn't want to kind of go through all of that just to get this effect. But I really liked how this turned out. It turned out really well. So, Galactic Gang. Oh, nice. Oh, that's great. Yeah, it looks great. It's very well done. So yes or no to Argo Cargo lore story time? What do you mean? I mean, I can talk a little bit about the Argo Cargo. I'm going to do a museum piece on the Argo Cargo, but it's probably going to cover most of Argo rather than just the Argo Cargo, but it's important. I hope they can come out with more ship models. Would love a Cutlass model. Oh, Penguin Lord. Oh, let me show you. It's not the bigger models, but you just want a big one. Yeah, I get it. All right, y'all. I'm gonna call it a night because I've been a little bit beyond what I normally do. So thank you all for joining us. Make sure that you're getting in to win the Hawk, the Anvil Hawk we're giving away all this month. ! September in chat. If you're on Twitch, get that up there. For the rest of y'all on YouTube, make sure that you are, I'll put this in the link, but also put it in the top comment, I think. Whenever I do this, someone always tries to do ! September in the chat. On YouTube. Right there. Go to that link. Put out your, kind of follow through the process. All you have to be doing is following us here on Twitch and subscribe to us on YouTube. Both are absolutely free. Scared the shit out of me. So if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact or even live, we do stream live on Twitch Thursdays and Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern. And if you on Saturdays and Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/theastropub if you want to join us there. We also, for those of you who are watching us on Twitch, I do YouTube videos like smuggling tutorials. I upload all my captain's tables. So if you miss that, it's always on YouTube. This ends up on YouTube. So in case you missed part of it, you can always go back and watch it on YouTube. I also do lore videos, my museum pieces, which cover specific ships, just general lore videos, just talk about general lore. Some highlights go up there as well. So if you like my content, make sure that you're subscribed on YouTube and follow us on Twitch anyways. So, now, here's the thing. Tomorrow, I'm probably not going to be streaming. Not because I don't want to, but because I want to focus.
It was at this moment that he knew.
Mechanics and its lore and kind of how it ties in together. So to help give people some context for what it means in terms of the game, but also what it means in terms of the story of the universe, which is fairly interesting. There's some interesting threads that are being drawn there, which we'll see where CIG pulls them. So we're definitely going to do that. I'm going to do that tomorrow instead of streaming, so I can get that done and out either probably by next Wednesday. But I want to get that done as well. So, but we'll be back on Saturday afternoon before Captain's Table, where we're going to be live. This week, we have a special. We've got Space Tomato, and we have another new slot, his name is Maverick, 23434. Maverick is a IRL first responder. So he wanted to talk about the medical mechanic. So we'll talk a little bit about how the medical mechanics work in depth, what they mean for the game, how they correspond with Star Citizen, where we might want to see the medical mechanics in the future, how much realism does it make sense to be put in there, that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, we'll be seeing you then on Saturday. And, of course, Sunday is always defense team night. So if you want to come join us and fly in multi-crew ships and do some battles, we'll be there. Hopefully we see another Nine Tails blockade. We may not, but it is it's free fly week. So let's hope that we get some Nine Tails action going on. Yeah, that's about it. I'll see y'all for this week. Like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black. And as always, remember, Ex Historia ad Astra. Let's see the new end screen. Look at that sexy end screen.